Hi, Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi. It's great to see you again, and it's wonderful to be with everybody who is joining us for this 7:30 service. And I thought tonight, because we didn't light candles last time, I would light my Shabbat candles with you. I know that when we're in Sunday school, sometimes we light the candles Sunday morning just so we can practice, but tonight we're going to light them all with you, and I want everybody to help me say the bracha, and then the rabbi will help us sing it. So when we light the candles, and this candle holder is one that I got a very long time ago. I got this when I got married. So that was in prehistoric times, but it's been my most favorite candle holder, and it's very, very special to me because it's exactly the same kind of candle holder menorah that my mother had. So we're going to do the counting and bring the light into our very, very souls, and we're going to say the blessing. So it's Echad, Shtayim, Shalosh, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Asher Kiddushanu B'mitzvotav V'tzivanu Lahadlik Ner Shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you. Toda Rabba, Rabbi. Now, we're missing one person, but we have another guest. Unfortunately, Ron couldn't be with us today, and he'll be back with us next week, but I brought another guest. I brought, again, something I've had for a very long time. I always used to have a lot of pets in my house. I have 5 children, you all know that. Well, we used to have 2 dogs, 3 cats, a snake, actually 2 snakes, a guinea pig. So we've always had animals in my house till I kind of started living on my own. But I wanted to bring this dog here because this is a very special weekend for a very special parasha. This is Parashat Noach. This is the weekend we read about Noah. And boy, Noah had a tough journey to make because he was told by God that there was going to be a flood and there was going to be rain. And lately we've had a lot of rain, not as much as Noah had. And Noah was told to do something very special, and that was to make sure that every animal would survive. And he would take pairs of animals, 2 of each kind, because you need pairs if you want more animals to be produced. And I thought I would bring my little doggie to our service tonight to say that I know a lot of you have pets, and I know a lot of you know that we are commanded right back to the time of Adam that we have to be caretakers of the world. We have to take care of the land. We have to take care of the water. We have to take care of the trees. We have to take care of animals. And there are lots of things you have to do to take care of animals, not stuffed animals like my little Snoopy dog here, but animals need to be walked. They need to be fed. They need to get inoculations. They need to be hugged. They need to be brushed. Sometimes they need to be taken to a vet to have their teeth cleaned or examined. So I know that any of you that have pets or have friends that have pets, you know that what Noah did to save the animals is still our job as well, to take care of the world's animals. So Rabbi, I think you have a story about Noah that maybe has to do with some of Noah's animals.
Yes, I have a great story today, which is about a special animal, a bird. And you may know that if you remember the story of Noach, when all of the animals were on the Teva, on the ark with Noah, they were waiting for the water to recede so that they could get back off the boat and go onto dry land. And Noah sent out a Yonah, a dove. And that dove went out to fly around and see if the waters had receded. So this is a story also about a bird. And it's a story about a woman who tried to catch birds. In fact, that was what she did. She was known as the bird catcher. And one day she was walking in the forest deeper than she had ever gone before. And she came upon a tree. And in that tree was the most beautiful bird that she had ever seen. She snuck up on the bird with the net in her hand, and whoosh, she caught it and looked at the bird. And the bird looked back at her. And then to her amazement, the bird began to speak. Now, this woman had spent her whole life catching birds and trapping them so that she could put them in cages, but she had never had a bird speak to her. And the bird said to her, "If you let me go, I will teach you 3 nuggets of wisdom." And she looked at the bird amazed and she said, "Why should I believe you? You're just a bird." And the bird said to the woman, "But I'm a bird that speaks. I'm not just any bird." So she thought for a moment and agreed, and she released the bird out of the net. And the bird said to her, "Here are my 3 nuggets of wisdom for you. Pay close attention and listen to what I tell you. First of all, don't believe things that are unbelievable. Second, don't have regrets for what you've done. And third, do not try to do what is impossible." With that, the bird lifted up off the ground and flew to a branch that was high up in the tree. And the woman looked up at the beautiful bird in the tree, this bird who had taught her wisdom. And the bird looked down at her on the ground. And the bird said to the woman, "You should not have released me because I lay golden eggs." At that, the woman was very sad. A bird that laid golden eggs, and she had released it from her net? So she immediately regretted releasing the bird, and then she tried to climb up the tree. She climbed up the trunk, and then the bird went out farther onto a very narrow branch, and she tried climbing out onto the branch to catch the bird. But when she did so, the branch broke and the bird flew away, and she fell down to the ground. And as she was laying on the ground, the bird flew down and spoke to her again and said, "I taught you 3 nuggets of wisdom, but you didn't pay attention. You didn't listen to anything I said. First thing I said was, don't believe the unbelievable. But when I told you that I laid golden eggs, which is an unbelievable thing, that a bird could lay eggs made of gold, you believed it. And the second thing I told you was that you should not regret things that you've done. But when I told you about laying golden eggs, immediately you regretted releasing me. And the third thing, you told me not to try. I told you not to try to do the impossible. And immediately you tried to climb out onto a little branch that couldn't support your weight. I taught you wisdom," said the bird, "but that's only half of the process. You can listen, but you also need to learn." And that's the story of the bird catcher. And it tells us a couple of things about really paying attention. And it tells us also that animals are very smart, clever, in some ways much more clever than we give them credit for. So I think that's part of the reason that Noah needed to bring pairs of animals onto the teva, onto the ark, to survive the flood, because we need animals in our lives as well. We need to have animals as part of our world.
Well, Toda Rabba, thank you so much, Rabbi. And that is such an amazing story, and so much we can learn from that story. And as we celebrate all the beautiful animals and all the life forms that exist, and we know that we have to use our minds and use our ears and learn so many lessons. And one of my favorite lessons from the end of the Noah story, after the flood, Noah sees a rainbow. And that rainbow, and I love seeing a rainbow. Do you like seeing rainbows, Rabbi, at the end of the story?
I love to see rainbows.
Yeah, and that was the sign, because God and Noah made a covenant, and the rainbow was the sign from God to Noah that God would never again destroy the world by a flood. So whenever I look outside and it's raining, and sometimes it's like, oh my goodness, it's still raining, and if you walk a dog in the rain, boy, they come back and they're all wet and they don't always smell so terrific. But then you look outside and you see the beautiful colors of the rainbow. And you know what a beautiful, beautiful world God has given us. And that beautiful breed, that beautiful covenant God made with Noah, that kind of flood, that kind of destruction would not happen. And maybe that's because Noah did what he was asked to do, that Noah saved all the animals and took care of all the animals. So this is one of my most favorite parashiot, one of my most favorite Torah portions, because as I listed before, I'm a real animal lover, and maybe one day instead of a stuffed dog, I'll get a real dog again. Although I have to tell you, when I had pet snakes in the house for one of my sons, I was not happy so much with pet snakes, but they deserve a right to live, and they were not dangerous snakes. They're just not my most favorite animal. So we don't have Ron, but maybe Rabbi, do you think you could lead us in just one song that the kids can end up singing all the rest of their Shabbat, and some of the parents who come, maybe they could sing with you as well. So
Well,
Rabbi,
before I do that, Arlene, I just wanted to share the blessing for a rainbow, because, you know, that's very appropriate for Shabbat Noach. Anytime you see a rainbow, you say a bracha, a blessing. And the blessing reminds us that God kept that covenant, that brit with Noah, and also does with us too. So the blessing begins the same way we begin any blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zocher habrit v'ne'eman bevrito v'kayam b'ma'amaro, which means, blessed are you, Adonai our God, who remembers the covenant, is faithful to the covenant, and keeps promises. And so if you want to abbreviate it, you can just say Zocher Habrit, who remembers the covenant. And it reminds us of our connection to God, our connection to the world, our connection with animals, with all living things.
well, thank you so much for sharing that. We're supposed to say 100 blessings a day, so we've just been able to add one more on the days when we can see a rainbow. So that is lovely. And maybe some of the kids after this, or maybe tomorrow on their Shabbat day, maybe they could make some pictures of their most favorite animals looking up at the sky and seeing a beautiful rainbow. And maybe if they could send us in some of those pictures, or some of the junior kids could bring them to Marla's class Sunday morning, I bet she would love to see your pictures of rainbows. So that's something you could think about bringing to Marla's class, or maybe Jennifer's class Sunday morning, your rainbow or your animal pictures. So now, Rabbi, do you think we could do one song to finish off?
Sure, let's just sing Ma Yafeh Hayom, which is a beautiful song for Shabbat. And it reminds us it's a beautiful day and it's good to be together. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
But shalom to you and to all the children. And next week, we will have a special program at the same time, but we're going to be visited by Karen Collins and maybe Jeff from Camp George, and they're going to talk about all the possibilities of many of you attending camp this coming summer. So if any of you have any questions about camp, you can direct them to Rabbi or me or Ramina Loeffler. And tune in next week at 7:30, where Karen Collins will be talking about camp and giving you lots of information about the way we hope Camp George is going to take place this coming summer. So Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom, Arlene. Shabbat Shalom Lekulam to everyone.